wild experiences in your, because I remember I texted you about the $25,000 check and you're like, yeah, this happens all the time. I was like, oh. You're like, yeah, just wait, there'll be more. I was like, oh wow.
Elevating consciousness worldwide. Welcome to the MindFlavors show with Amy and Carl, creating heaven on earth. Join the vision. On today's connection, we have a very special guest. Zenka Caro is a futurist, software architect, and founder of LightNet, a collective intelligence think tank centered around consciousness. She is an expert in spoon bending and a pioneer in mind over matter consciousness research. Zenka is passionate about blending frontier science and spirituality. She is also an inspirational speaker on the TEDx stage and beyond.
Zenka, so good to have you here.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Awesome. Yeah.
So we met not that long ago, and we met in a very interesting way. One of the things that I love about you is your open mind that you have to experiment. And I've learned and can see that you're a very intelligent individual, and yet you still have been able to preserve this openness to observe and do experiments for the purpose of expanding our awareness and consciousness. And I just love that. So happy to have you here with us.
Yes. Yeah, kindred spirits. You guys are doing the same thing. You're like, wait a minute, how far can we take this? And over the years, you've done all these experiments in the frontier of our minds and our hearts and our lives. It's very cool. Very cool.
It's so cool. And I remember when Carl first told me about how he met you and he was sharing what you were doing. And I immediately went to your website and I got so excited of everything that you're doing.
Well, it's interesting because right at that point, as soon as I saw that, I just had this intuitive awareness that we were going to be doing a show together, and be on a show together and talking about these consciousness expansion ideas. And here we are today.
Here we are. I know, because we met that first time and then I kept seeing you guys. Like I never saw you. And then all of a sudden I see you like in my car every time that I pass, like it was very interesting how when we got in each other's orbits, it just kept going.
So from my side, I love to experiment also. I think that keeps life fun. And we received a package of some food items delivered to our house, and frozen. And so there was a big chunk of dry ice in there, and I've always loved dry ice. It's fun to play around with. And so for some reason, I got this idea to see what would happen, to do an experiment, to see what would happen if I took a big chunk of dry ice and put it on the tarmac outside in the heat on the slope of the street to see if it would move, or what would happen. Would it explode? Would I see all that foggy smoke that comes off it, or what would happen? So I just went out there to do an experiment. And right when I'm out there with this dry ice on the street, you come walking up.
Yeah, was a crazy thing because I was trying to bond with my kid, get him off the screen, and I was like, okay, let's go on a walk. And he never wants to go on a walk, but he was like, okay. And so we got Adam and Coffee and him all to take a walk, which is like miraculous. And I was like, you know what? You never know, Nico, what you're going to encounter. So we're going to go on this little adventure in the neighborhood. And all of a sudden, we walked by this bush that had these fire seeds. And Coffee's like, oh, I used to do this when I was a kid. Like, you rub them on the ground and they get really hot. And so I was like, see, Nico, there's all this wonder that we could have missed this. And then there's Carl on, with the dry ice. And we're like, whoa, it was so like fun. And so we ended up asking you, like, can we have this dry ice? He's like, yeah, why not? So we're like figuring out how to scrape it into another thing to take with us in the box. And we get home and we have the most hilarious magical moment where we're pouring hot water. He's doing cauldron. He's 10 years old. He's like we're being wizards. Like, it was hilarious. And then this really deep healing happened through this process, because when Nico was 4, I was living in LA and I was like, when you're 4, we're going to do videos together. And I was so busy and so whatever consumed with everything I was doing that we never did it. And it broke his heart. Like, it literally broke his heart. He was just like that we didn't get the time to do that. And that is my single biggest regret as a mom, not to do those videos with him. And I was like, well, maybe it's not too late. And so I was like, okay, let's do a dry ice video, Nico. And someone had told me that, well, we were doing an experiment, speaking of experiments, in LightNet, in this contact thing to reverse a memory. And so that was the memory I reversed. I was like, so we're going to do videos with Nico, and I'm going to erase that whole thing, that whole heartbreak that I felt that I happened, because I talked about him about a year ago. And he was like, yeah, what happened? We go to Bash's, get more dry ice. And I'm like, all right, let's do it. And like everywhere, all the dry ice. And he started his first channel with his best friend. And it was this whole thing, it was this whole healing that happened. And then he couldn't remember that I had not done videos with him at 4. Suddenly, I asked him about it. I was like, yeah, I'm so glad we're doing videos now, because I was so sad about that I didn't follow through and you were excited, and it broke my heart. It broke your heart. And he's like, what are you talking about?
Wow.
So the dry ice acted as this huge healing in my life, of the most important, like, relationship. I can run companies, do things, but momming is just like, what? How am I supposed to do this? And so you guys open up this whole healing that's happening, and it's continuing to unfold as I do your program. And that's not the only miracle that's happened in your program. So I haven't even done it that long, and it's been so interesting to see these fundamental shifts, right? That tie you up in your life into something in the stories you don't want to experience, but that you're ready to be released. So it was really cool. I mean, we'll send you the videos. It's hilarious. It was the biggest bonding experience ever.
Wow.
It's
That's
so
great.
amazing how when we're in the flow and just trusting life, that how things show up like this and one thing can lead to another, and it's so beautiful. And I remember after Carl was telling me about you, I immediately thought, she's got to experience MindFlavors. She is going to love it. And we sent you an email, but for some reason you didn't get that email because maybe it went through your work. And so I was asking to see you again. And it wasn't soon later you passed again. Remember, you passed again in the car. And at that time I was out there too. And we were asking you, did you get this email? And you said, no, you didn't. And we were saying, would you like to experience MindFlavors? And you said, yes, I would. So it's just like, it's so beautiful to witness how when we put it out there, we receive it. Like when we have a focus, it shows up. When we're meant to meet and connect, it just somehow happens. And like you said, this wasn't happening before, and all of a sudden you're passing by and seeing us. Yeah, so.
And that happened on my end, by the way, because I was trying to tell you about something and I was like, I can't find their number on my phone. And I was like, we need to leave a note at their house because I I can't find them in all my contacts. And then we run into you on the street and I was like, I need your number. You were like, okay. Yeah, so these gifts come in, and really everything is a gift, but these gifts come in, these relationships come in, these synchronicities come in, and it's pretty cool.
So cool.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Well, speaking of that, you had an interesting experience happen. You were 5 days into the program, and we actually see this fairly often, not exactly like yours, similarly. And so I'd like, if you would, we'd like to hear what exactly happened, and if you have those photos that you show us, we'd love for you to share those with our audience.
So I remember doing my first MindFlavors and considering doing the program. And, you know, I run this nonprofit, we're raising money, we need to raise money to keep going, all this stuff. And I was like, wow, you know, this is, you know, do I really make this investment in myself? And I remember there was a thought that came in. It was like, oh yeah, you're gonna make all the money back and more. But I don't know. I just couldn't see how that might happen or anything. And so I had met with one of our original donors, and she invited me over for lunch. And I'll share these pictures because this is so crazy. I walk into her room, and I've been to her house before, but the first room, I've never seen this, on the right was checkerboard carpet. And that is my symbol that, hey, Zenka, wake up. This is a dream. You can have anything you want. That's just a substrate. It's like the transparency on Photoshop, where it just says like, hey, dream what your heart desires into this life around you. And I used to even track the time that I would see checkerboards. So I walk in, I see not, and quantity matters. So if you see one, it's one thing. If you see a whole carpet, I was like, oh, wow. And then I walk in, she has this whole kitchen, and she has a tray of cooked tomatoes. I've never seen anyone cook tomatoes like this. And it is, aside from popcorn, it is my comfort food that I love more than anything else in the world. And I thought, okay, wow. Then we have lunch, and she's like, oh, there's this envelope over here. Why don't you get it? And I read it, and it's a $25,000 check. And I'm floored because I did not expect that. Was just like, what? And I was like, oh, you made it out to the wrong, you know, she wrote LightNet instead of Wisdom Age Metaverse, which is our DBA. So I'm like, oh, you have to write the check again to this other name. And she goes, okay. And then she did it, and she handed me the check. And I saw 428 as the number of the new check. And I about fell on the floor. I swear to God, my jaw dropped. My whole body sank. I was like, no way. And I said, I've been doing this MindFlavors program, and every single meditation is 428. And I've been focused on why did they do everything at 428? I had looked up the number. I was like, what's the significance? What's going on? And this was just incredible. And this happened at 144 which is also my main number. Another massive synchronicity. And I'm getting like a love text from my boyfriend. And I walk out to go pick up my child from school, and the car right in front of me, not to the side, it says Align 77. And this was a very powerful thing, because I always say that when you're aligned, everything's provided. You know, like the magic carpet goes, like it's all happening for you, and you don't have to worry about finances or anything because you're in alignment, right? It's aligned. And the 777 is like those slot machines, you know, the 77 is the jackpot. Like you are in your jackpot life, you know, your moment, right? The next car that I pull, when I pull out to 89, just says flow. It doesn't say any numbers. It's just flow. And again, this, this is a flow moment. And it's when your brain, I think the effect of the mind flavors had gotten in my brain, had elevated me. And then it was just like, here's the gift. Like, so it was, and I freaked out. I texted you, I called you. I'm like, I never call people on the phone. I'm like, I have to call Carly right now. You didn't answer. And I'm like trying to text, like, oh my gosh, all this stuff is happening because it was beyond my wildest dreams. And you have this slogan, the better it gets, the better it gets. So it's this weird situation where truth becomes stranger than fiction. Like,
Yes.
it was just incredible.
Yes, it's so incredible. Like you don't make this stuff up, right? And then there's one thing after the next, one thing after the next.
It was a clear message, clear connection. And I was just like, and I felt so loved. And the card that she wrote is like, I believe in you, and so it was also like a bond between her and I that was really special. And it was just, it was amazing.
Mm.
That's a beautiful story. I just love how when we clear out the things that are in the way of the things that we're focusing on and would like to see showing up in our experience, they just start flowing in.
Because of what you said, we get in alignment. And I love what you said about being in alignment. That's so true. We would all just focus on being in alignment, then we can have that ease and flow and those amazing, beautiful things show up. Yeah.
We always say that there is your subconscious mind and your conscious mind. So your conscious mind says, okay, this would feel good to bring this to the world, or to do XYZ, or to whatever, experience XYZ. But if you look at your life and what you actually have, that's your conscious plus your subconscious mind. That's what's happening. So your subconscious mind is a complete black box. You don't even know what it thinks. You don't know the patterns that it has. You don't know what it holds. Like, unless you're doing some process that's getting that stuff. So the only way you can see what your subconscious believes about your ability to receive, your worthiness, your this or that, whatever, is by looking at your life. So I think what's interesting about your work is that it's getting your subconscious and your conscious mind on the same page. And that is what aligns. So all of a sudden, your subconscious mind says, oh, yeah. Like the other day, it was so crazy. We had our group call, and someone was asking for joy of success. And three of us were like, what? What's that? Is it okay to be joyful while successful? So it's like this broken part of your brain that you didn't even know was broken. You go, why have I never put those words together? Why does my brain not compute that? Why do I feel bad for being successful? Like maybe it's like I feel like I will be unloved if I'm successful. I mean, all this crazy stuff that gets in your subconscious mind from your life experiences, from your mom, from your grandma, from your blah, 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 blah. And then you clear that out.
Yeah.
That's that alignment. And then you look at your life and you go, cool, this is actually able to come through now. There's in agreement with that. And yesterday I started changing all my passwords to well, not changing but I had to open a bunch of accounts, do certain things. And I was like, oh, okay, I put joy creation 888. So it's like already, it's so interesting because it's already seeping in to my life. And it seems totally logical to me that joy and success would be paired together, that I'm okay to feel that other people are going to feel that when I'm successful because I'm doing service work through nonprofit. You know what I mean? So it's like, oh, we're all going to be joyful that we were successful together. So it's just so interesting. And I think we haven't had the tools in our society to know what our subconscious mind is thinking, to tap into it, to adjust it, to heal it, and there's different ways. You can do it with mantras, you can do it with hypnosis, you can do it with tapping. And you found a way that's with the breath work and the visuals that is very, kind of direct and fast, pretty wild.
Yes, yes, it's really fast. Yes. We we love how you just notice things, like you pay attention and you're so aware. And so did you notice right away that all the mind flavors were 428? You just noticed that.
Oh yeah, I definitely noticed that because the breath work is 808. So it's like yeah, and I was like, I wonder why they're doing that. And I think I texted you afterwards because I re-looked it up, the number 428, and it was also a beautiful message. So the thing is that the universe is always sending you messages and opportunities and gifts like the dry ice, but sometimes we don't leave our house, or we don't get that message, or we don't see that message. But I always acknowledge when I get a message, and I acknowledge it, because more come when you acknowledge it.
Yeah.
So
Yes, absolutely. More comes when you acknowledge it. That's why we do the noticing and appreciating in our program. I thought it'd be fun though for you to hear why it's 428, since you've been
I
asking.
want to know why it's 428.
All right, Carl, tell her.
Cool.
There's two parts to it. So when Carl was creating that technology, and he just had the raw technology, and we were like, how long should the video be? And the first thing I said, because I thought about the 4-minute mile, I said, how about 4 minutes?
I think I had it was around 5 minutes at the time.
And I said, what if you
I
get
was
it to
putting
4 minutes?
together. And
Yeah.
what I noticed was it was so powerful that it didn't have to be long.
Yeah.
In fact, I felt like it had to be a short thing because it's so powerful. And that's when Amy said, well, can you get it under 4 minutes?
To make it better than the 4-minute mile. Well, that was the first thing. But then for whatever reason, it required just a little bit more. And it was so beautiful that it was 428, because what?
Yes, I got it down to 408.
408?
And that was everything that I
Before you put in the
all compressed into there as tightly as I could get it, so to speak. And then I got some inspiration to put on a portion beforehand to integrate the two hemispheres of the brain in order to make the whole thing more powerful, so that we're operating at a higher level going into the experience. And that required adding an extra 20 seconds. So then it became 428. Now, for me, that has a significance because when I was growing up, I was in the Boy Scouts, and our troop number was 428. And we had a brilliant leader who was aware of how to create and how to focus and use your mind to turn that focus into an experience of reality. And he did really well with us to succeed in creating our merit, getting our merit badges and excelling like that. And he came up with a saying that all the troops would cheer their number before the big get-togethers, and when they would do the presentations and who won, who got the most. And our cheer was 428. Where do we rate? Right on top, and it feels great. So he got us to feel into the experience, a very specific experience, because it was telling exactly where we were rating, and combining those two with us declaring it and expressing it with the spoken word, and with energy. All of those things create the consciousness for that outcome to happen. And the funny thing was, we were always number one.
We were always winning.
And it was usually by a long shot. So all of the other troops, they were kind of like, we'll never catch up.
Oh.
But the ones who were in second place, one time they decided they're going to go for it. They're going to get number one. And they actually got a lot more than they usually did. But when they did the tally, we were still like seven merit badges more than them. And so I wasn't aware of this at the time, but this is how this programming stuff works. We were already programming it into us that we're always on top. So we did just a little bit extra without even being aware of it, just enough to still stay on top, even when they made their big charge to see if they could do it. So that's my story.
I'm freaking out over here for a couple of reasons. Can you say that the cheer again?
Yes, 428. Where do we rate? Right on top, and it feels great.
Well, so that's what we were just talking about, is your life is your result. It's your rate, it's your rating. Like whether it's in flow or not in flow, whether you're having a good time or a hard time, it's the printout of your consciousness of your life. And when you have a joy of success, when you're ready for success, to allow success into your life, then, and you believe it, and mantras are a good way to do it, especially passionate ones, and especially ones you do with other people, then you achieve that. Yeah. And that's so interesting. I mean, my kid said that we were trying to get him to do flag football, and he goes, oh yeah, when I started believing that I would catch the ball, I started catching the ball. Like he noticed how when he was panicked and worried that he wouldn't catch the ball, he couldn't catch the ball. And the reason why I was freaking out is that my entire life's work is based on the 4-minute mile. It's in every video. It's in all of our pages. It is what I do. If there's one story about what I do, it's the 4-minute mile. Because the 4-minute miles, everyone knows, is nobody could run a 4-minute mile. It was not possible with the body. We were just like, oh, you can't do it. And one person did it, and now 2,000 people have done it. So our belief is the cage that we live in. So our lives, and that's the cage I want to free people from. So we look at how people do impossible things 100 at a time, and we call them the 4-minute milers. So whether it's getting out of the wheelchair or bending a spoon or getting off addiction or levitating, whatever it is, those are the 4-minute milers. And we study what they did, because they've broken the logic of our reality. They've broken consensus reality. It said, I did get out of my wheelchair when everyone said I couldn't. So if we can understand that from the people who've already done it, then it opens our minds to what is possible, because the better it gets, the better it gets.
That's right.
Yes.
Love that.
Yeah.
Well, you're doing some pretty wonderful things. And how can our listeners tune into what you're doing and participate themselves?
Yeah, so you can just go to lightnet.org, and we have different labs where we interview these 4-minute milers that have done these crazy things, and we look for patterns in a very innovative software. And the data is free. It's out there. It's saying, hey, let's put some of the most valuable data on the planet open. And then you could do memberships and you can join teams and stuff, but it's there for you. And we have a community. We do 72 events a year for our membership. And we also do small teams where we take research and we do things that have never been done before, like off-planet remote viewing or waking induced lucid dreaming. And we really do research together in these small teams of 8 to 12, because when you get 8 people together, just like Lynn McTaggart has discovered, I was in Spain recently, and there was this girl, we did a power of 8. She had 7 screws in her ankle, couldn't get to the center of the circle because of her crutches. She couldn't even move to the other chair. It was a huge nightmare. We started finally, and for 6 minutes, we imagined her well. And at the end of the 6 minutes, she put down her crutches and walked across the stage. I mean, it was the craziest thing. And I think what's cool about what you guys are working on is that you're seeing what can happen when we're stop blocking ourselves, right? No matter what it is. And I think it really is taking into account this subconscious mind that we've forgotten about, that we don't know how to access, that we don't know where it is. It's balancing the left and right. With your program, another synchronicity is that we were working on selling all these programs. We have 3 programs this weekend on the Starseed Academy site. We have, all this stuff. And I was like, wow. And all of a sudden you're like, oh, we're switching this month. We're going to the Easy Customers, I'm sorry, Easy Sales Happy Customers program. And I was like, really? I was like, that was supposed to be at the end of the program. And all of a sudden it's now. And I was like, oh, this is like perfect.
Yeah.
And I start to listen to it and do the program. And now I'm like, I love that we married those 2 things. It's like, of course, when your customers are happy, easy sales becomes easy because you're actually doing everyone a favor, right? Everything's growing because the value is there and the people are happy. And I was like, we call it your nerd. When your nerd comes out and you are like, oh, should I really text these people about the program? And you go like, what's going to happen to you? Your fear, and you're just like, you want to run the other direction, but your higher self is like, no, just reach out, like do your, shine, do your thing. And my nerds are no longer there. And when I go jogging, I have that in my head. Like it seeps in, when I'm doing a bath, like when I'm in sort of a trance moment of my life where, you're brushing your teeth and you don't have to think about brushing your teeth. I think Easy Sales Happy Customers. So it's amazing how it just sinks in and you're correcting all of these subconscious patterns. You don't even know where they came from, and it's really cool because at the end of the day, it's about connection and it's about, other people, and it's about bringing it all together and sharing your gifts and everything like that. So if you can't even get past the front door because of some hangups or that you don't even know where they came from or who they came from or your mom or brother, that's where it's like this untangling process. And that's probably why people have so much like wild experiences in because I remember I texted you about the $25,000 check and you're like, yeah, this happens all the time. I was like, oh. You're like, yeah, just wait, there'll be more. I was like, oh wow.
Yeah. Oh, wow. So beautiful. So you've been on this journey for a long time of expanding your consciousness. And can you share why you are so passionate about it? Maybe why you feel it's important or maybe even necessary for all of us to be expanding our consciousness?
Well, they say that the biggest regret that people have is not living their life the way that they wanted to. We live for other people and it gets so filtered down. And so I think that when we're doing a lot of research on purpose, when people find their purpose or find what is authentically them and what is theirs to do and what is theirs to give, then suddenly you want to take care of your body. You want to show up in 100%. You want to just let the thing all unfold. And so I think that right now it's like discovering that thing inside you that is that spark. And I think that that's where the consciousness comes in, because I believe when you're in joy and when you're in your spark, all the miracles start to happen, the flow starts to happen. And I think that life is better than we could have ever dreamed. It's better than I never even knew was possible. And so I want to share that with people. You guys want to share that with people. And it's just a shift in perspective out of victimhood into like, and then in the end, it's just about flow. And with this few minor tweaks, like what is possible all of a sudden?
Yeah.
And I think that's where we are in the world. It's like we went from hopelessness and confusion to, oh, wait, there's hope for this future. And it's actually really good. And we've got this, we can do this. So I think there's like a sense that we're moving into that if we take care of ourselves and our bodies and our minds, then we can do anything. And together even stronger.
Love it.
We can do anything and together even stronger. Zenka, so beautifully expressed. We so appreciate you being here with us today.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing your journey so far and all that you do. And would you like to say anything, Rod?
Well, we would definitely like to have you back on the show again.
Yes.
Yeah, I'd love to. And thanks for all you're doing. You guys are pioneers. You guys are on the bleeding edge. I remember talking to you and you're like, yeah, we did a lot of stuff, but nothing existed like we wanted to do. And so you went through the process of doing something new. And I hope you're reaping the benefits of that now by seeing people, like helping people like me, because it's not easy to do something new sometimes. And you guys have stood by it over many, many years. And it's like a flower that's just really coming out. So congratulations for keeping your faith in it and allowing it to mature to the way it is now, where it's very, tight, well designed, so effective, it's amazing. So congratulations for you guys, and the masculine and feminine, there you are together with the technology, the breath work, and the whole thing is really balanced and beautiful. And I congratulate you guys on your path. Very cool.
So appreciate that so much.
Ah,
Wow.
yeah.
So I'm just so happy that we've connected. I love the story of how we met. I love everything since, and I'm looking forward to what's next for all of us. It's going to be super exciting and wonderful and so beautiful. So thank you for being on this journey with us.
Yeah, thanks to you guys. Thank you.